Hi guys, welcome back. Well, it was overwhelming. Number 3 is the one that I'm going to do. Now, a lot of people did say that they were interested in learning the sky from the first picture with Mickey Mouse. And what I'll probably end up doing is I'm going to finish this one, maybe do a couple lessons, and I'm going to just do the sky on the other one. This is going to take me a long time. I'm going to try to do this as perfect a replica as I can, and it is a challenge to me. To be perfectly honest, I'm really glad you guys picked number 3. It was the one that I wanted to do. I hope I didn't sway anybody in my. I was trying to keep neutral, but I think you guys could tell I was more into the challenge of this, and this is definitely going to be a challenge. Now, what I'm doing for this that I didn't do for the rose is I'm creating a grid on the reference photo. And this is very important, especially if you guys are going to use a light box. If you're creating your artwork, say you have a nice picture, you want to create the artwork, you see something on the internet, you have your reference picture, you're going to light box your picture onto good paper. And for there to be a one-on-one, I have to keep looking back and forth. So what I did was create a grid on the side where I have the reference picture. Now, some of you might not want to draw on your reference pictures from this book because it's, a really good book and this is the actual picture from the artist. And I understand that. Make a copy of it. But the grid is very important and it's very easy to do. All I did was take a ruler and went my way across. This one having a small amount, it's the leftover. The same thing happened on the bottom. It's no big deal as long as you've got the box there. And what this is going to be able to do is make me go eye to eye and keep me where I was. Now, on the rose, when I did the rose, I was off a little bit because I did not create a grid. I did not look hard enough to make sure that each mark, but it's a flower. Who cares? I want to keep a little bit more focused on this because I want my own skills to build up to where I'm doing portraits again. And I always use the grid on the portraits. You almost have to use a grid. It's especially if you're not a very experienced artist, even advanced artists use grids. It's just guidelines. So I've put down my grid on this paper directly, and I wanted to keep it on this paper and not on another piece of paper because I want to be able to show it to you as I'm going step by step. So the first thing I'm going to do after I do the grid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to color match some areas. Now I don't have to do the whole entire thing and pull pencils out all over the place. I'm going to choose an area to begin with, and I'm going to choose the dress is the first thing. The skirt is the first thing I'm going to do on here, and I've got my little grids here. This is the easiest thing. But before I do this, to be able to get a good perspective on it, I'm going to landmark this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take little pieces of this little details. Now, for instance, I'm going to take this little blue. I'm going to locate the little blue on here and I'm going to put in the blue. This way I have a quick marker in my mind and visually of where I am in my proportions. This sticks out. This bird sticks out. On the tree, the squirrel sticks out. Down here, some of the bunnies, a little bit, putting in a little bit of the grass. And this is just preparing this picture for further development, and it'll keep me on track of where I'm going. I've switched over to my computer and I went into the program PicMonkey. You can use any color picking program. I don't normally trust apps, those little apps that pick the color and match it. I only match colors with my eyes. Go into this little area with the called effects, and then you pull down the area that says draw. Using the eyedropper, click it once, and it's going to bring you onto your page. I'm going to pick, my dog is growling at something. What's the matter? What are you doing? Why are you growling at nothing? What are you growling at? Take the eyedropper and click on the eyedropper. Then anywhere on the picture. Now, make sure you get your darkest and your lightest. Now, I've done a whole bunch of them. I'm going to click on this. A circle will come up, and then you click again. I'm basically starting to get the same colors. This one, although there's a little bit of a shading difference, not too much. So this one are your darkest shades. I would take this one and look for a new pencil, one that's one shade lighter. This one and this one are basically the same. This one's a little grayer than this one, but I think I already know which color this is as far as Prismacolor goes. And then, of course, you have your lightest one, and this one, with this one being slightly grayer and this one being slightly pinker. I may pick out two different pencils, or when I'm testing it, I may just leave it with one. So now that I have this, I'm going to use this color palette and I'm going to pick my pencils from it. I've gone to my pencils and I picked out a whole bunch of things from Polychromos, Caran d'Ache, Prismacolor. I think those are the three that I use. Polychromos, Caran d'Ache, and Prismacolor. And now what I'm going to do, I made a copy of this. This is not going to color match because this is a copy of it, and my printer is no good. It doesn't ever print out perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color match from the computer and then match it up over here, put them over here as far as what would be equivalent. Now, why I wanted this is blown up. I just wanted the actual picture, and it's a blown up area of right over here. It goes from the grass to, if you look over here, there's a little dot, a little leaf, which would be right there in the picture. And then if you go over here in the picture, the exact mark is right over here. So I have my relative range of where this blown up picture is, this, and the picture over here. Now all I have to do is color match. I'm sure I've got the matches within the ones that I pulled. If not, I'll pull some more. And that's how I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to just start with what I think is the darkest. And that I matched up with Raspberry right here. It's pretty much a match here. Well, it's a little dark. Let's see how it goes. And I think I nailed it right there. Pretty much the same. So we know that this dark color here is my Raspberry. Okay, those are the ones that I pulled out. Now I'm going to look for my lightest color. My lightest color in this dress would be right here. This matches this. So let's see if we can match up with that. And I think I pulled the match. It's slightly more beige. Let me try this other pencil. This is Pablo and Salmon Pink. My final decision on the bottom of the dress, I'm going to go with Blush Pink, Raspberry, and White. I think I'm going to be able to create the other tones that are in there. I have the other pencils on standby in case something needs to be mixed, but I think this is where we're going to start with it. Okay, so I'm ready to begin, and When I was looking at my one-to-one, the picture's not exact. So anybody that's following in this book and doing this in this book, double check your boundaries and your lines, because these are not necessarily these lines. I'm going to make a lot of them those lines, but just keep that aware. I'm going to start with my blush pink, because if you could see, there is from the hip to about midpoint on the dress here, and then down here. Over here it gets a little darker, but I'm going to go to full length because I'm going to put the raspberry over that. And I think that's what they did. I'm starting out with a small line. And then it got a little bit bigger. And then darker. But I'll be going in with my darker pencil over the light. And let's see. This one all the way up to the hip. Just get in a second layer. That starts it. Now I'm going to look and see, it starts to get a little darker down over here, which is right here. And that matches up with this leaf. So it goes a little bit above. Now it goes probably even. The next area, which is over here, in between here, this kind of looks like it's an underlying, they did a light pink going down, and then they put the darker pink. What I have a feeling also is when he was painting this picture, he did do a layer of all pink, and it's kind of coming out that he went over it. Like this is on top of the pink. He didn't do the striations. Since you don't really have that choice with a pencil, I have to do it in striations. Sometimes I think painting in layers is easier, but that's just my own personal opinion. Gotta think this out. I'm gonna do it up till here in the pink. Don't forget your brushes. You don't want to be working with red without a brush. And then I'm going to go and use something under my hand. I don't need to use anything under my hand now, although some artists will, because the oils from your hands do get onto the paper. And that frustrates a lot of people. So I got this pink layer on. This is very blended. I probably have to use a little blending medium. But this again is just first layer. Working out where my colors are going to go. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to wing it. There's some dark here. Keeping my hand very light. It's difficult. I can see the brush strokes as I'm studying it. Almost imagining where he switched up his brush to a different stroke or a different... And it went this and that, and then slightly hooked. Okay. Here's where it's going to get hard, and I'm going to have to work this out a little bit on what goes where. I'm hoping that the lines match up with this, but I'm not so sure. It seems to have more in here than it has here, and they're a little funky looking, so we'll see. Darken that up. Everything will soften once I get some blender on it. Okay, so now we're going to do the harder area. Now, there's where it looks like it's the thicker of the, yeah, this is the dark area right there. So that one I'm going to quickly darken in. So we have a jumping off spot from there. This is where I wish there was no lines and I could do it, because these lines are going straight and they really shouldn't. They should be curving slightly. And I have to cover those lines. So this line goes up to here. And then this should be all pink, light pink. Let's get that light pink in there before. Now, dark. This is a definite light and then a dark. So I'm going to just fill it in with a light. Okay, I'm going to just keep going. Because this is painted and this is pencil, I'm going to have to add a little bit of mineral spirits to it just to smooth it out so I get a sort of the painted look. And this will blend out my edges really well. I'm trying to stick onto the dark more and blend the dark into the light. Sorry, I go quiet. You guys think it's hard to color. Try to talk about one thing and color at the same time. Then you wonder why people do voiceover. And this dress, of course, will pop once I put all the glitter and sparkle on it. I'm just working on basically the bottom, what's underneath the glitter and sparkle. And the dress will also lighten once I get that white onto it, of course. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to do another layer and then I'm going to start the dots. I'm going to stop here on the dress because I want to get some of the colors in from around the area. I did have to take some extra artistic liberties with this dress. There is just no way I'm going to be able to do it that light. And that's because of the black lines that are in it. On this dress, there's no black. On this dress, I have the black lines and there's no way to get rid of them. And some of them are not even in the right places. So unfortunately, it's going to be that way. I'm going to do my best, but I like the way the dress came out, and it's going to look even lighter once I get all the darker colors in around it. So this is where I'm going to stop, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.